From the moment you take off to the moment you land, a helicopter tour of an Alaskan glacier is a once in a lifetime experience. Hi, I'm Chris with Labyrinth Travels. Thanks for coming along with us today to visit Herbert Glacier. Our journey begins in Juneau, Alaska. Meeting the tour is just steps from the cruise pier on Franklin Street beneath the Gold Belt tram. It's an easy meeting point with clean public restrooms and simple access. You can even grab a map of Juneau, Alaska for after the tour. After a brief ride in a passenger van, the check-in begins at Coastal Helicopters. You're weighed for balance and safety of the aircraft, pay any additional fees, receive a clear and thorough safety briefing to know what to expect both in the air and on the glacier, have an opportunity to store any items not allowed on the aircraft in secure benches in the building, and walk out to wait for your helicopter to be ready to go. Dressing in layers is essential. Even on clear days, conditions on the glacier are colder and windier than in Juneau. Waterproof outer layers, gloves, and sturdy footwear make a big difference. Coastal Helicopter provides overboots for traction, but staying warm is up to you. Each helicopter carries no more than 6 guests, and each helicopter lands at its own dedicated location on the glacier. This keeps the experience quiet and uncrowded. Once you're buckled in, it's only moments before liftoff, and Juneau drops away almost immediately. If you've never ridden in a helicopter before, the experience is different than an airplane. It's often smoother, and the aircraft will glide in multiple directions at the same time. Our pilot, Cameron, was highly skilled, and as he lifted off from the runway, we had an opportunity to look out our windows and actually gaze over the airport, flying over 2 Alaskan Airlines aircraft parked at the gates. It was truly an experience. What happened next was breathtaking. He told us to look off to our right, and there was Mendenhall Glacier, the most popular glacier in Alaska, which had been flooding the town only 2 weeks before our arrival. From where we flew, we could see it and see Nugget Falls at 377 feet, appearing only to be a centimeter high. Having an opportunity to see where the majority of the cruise passengers were spending their day was truly unique, knowing we were going to be traveling for another 15 to 20 minutes to arrive at our destination. Juneau sits in a temperate rainforest, and weather can change quickly. Summer temperatures typically range from the 50s to low 60s with frequent cloud cover and regular rain, sometimes all in the same hour. We were fortunate with a clear day, but flights are always weather dependent, and flexibility is a huge part of traveling in Alaska. The flight from Juneau is truly a big part of the glacier experience. Our pilot, Cameron, pointed out features that we would see the mountains rising up on each side of the glaciers, the rainforest suddenly giving way to sheer mountain cliffs. It was almost as if we could have opened our window, reached out, and touched the cliff face as we moved along. It's hard to describe what it felt like. Being that close to the edge of the mountain and moving at over 200 miles an hour as we were just waiting to see what our destination was going to look like. Herbert Glacier stretches roughly 11 miles from the Juneau Icefield all the way to the coast. And like most glaciers in southeast Alaska, it's been retreating since the end of the Little Ice Age in the 1700s. And as we moved along the cliff faces, we would see ancient snowfalls. We would see snowpack that had been there for centuries. And finally, as we weaved our way through some mountain peaks, we began to see the area we were going to get to explore. We could see where the glacier was beginning, where the snow seemed to be tumbling from the top of the mountain and forming into compacted ice. Almost when you look, you can see the ripples, like a pebble being dropped in a pond, but the pond is made of ice. We slowed, we descended, and we could even see the stripes. The sun this day was absolutely perfect. We couldn't have asked for a better day. The helicopter was almost floating above the ice, just moving kind of in opposite of the direction the way the ice was flowing. Cameron was looking for the exact right place to set the helicopter down, and he gently set us down upon the ice, kind of bouncing once or twice just to make sure that we were on a good solid piece of ice. First steps out of the helicopter are a true grounding experience. Meltwater flowed across the surface, carving channels that disappeared into the ice. The water didn't linger. It was almost proving that how much more fluid it is than ice. It even reshapes the glacier from the bottom, lubricating the bottom of the glacier to allow the glacier to move and carve the mountain. Up close, the ice reveals layers of blue, gray, and white, compressed snowfall from centuries past, full of little blobs of dirt that have been freed from beneath the mountain. Every step carried weight. Every texture told a story of that mountain and of that glacier. It's hard to describe in a picture what exactly it looked like. You'd turn around, you'd see your fellow passengers looking around, pointing at things, laughing, discussing what was happening. All the while, there's just a helicopter sitting quietly on the glacier. There was a stillness that is hard to describe. There's a gentle breeze. You'd occasionally hear a helicopter in the distance, but in general, it was completely silent. And for me, it was unique to think that we were standing on something that was moving, carving mountains, yet we couldn't hear it. It made no noise. Occasionally, the water would gurgle or bubble. You could see what looked like landslides on the cliff faces as you looked into the distance. Folks filled their water bottles, drank from the water, fresh and clear, far greater than anything that you could ever buy in a store. And then there's what the water truly created. As we approached, Cameron was holding onto the back of people's jackets so they could peer over the edge and gaze into a chasm that dropped 6, 7, 800 feet. No one knew exactly where it came out, but all they knew was all that water was flowing to somewhere beneath the glacier. Small cracks covered the surface, not any real danger. They weren't falling apart. It wasn't like a disaster movie where you're going to be sucked in all of a sudden. It was just showing the fact that the glacier was alive and moving. I spent most of my time on the glacier sort of twirling around, trying to take it all in. The deep blues of the meltwater, the pure white of the snow, the grays and the browns of the dirt and the cliffs and the rocks, the light blue of the sky, the wispy clouds, everything was just making the day feel absolutely amazing. Every once in a while, modern life reminded us we weren't on the surface of an alien planet. Finally, it was time that we needed to take to the air. The helicopter lifted gently from the surface of the ice, spun one last time, and gave us a look down that chasm. One day, I hope to know exactly what is down there. As we flew, following the path of the glacier, it was almost as if there were waves. As the glacier was turning and twisting as it moved along the cliff face, it really did feel alive. You could see this trail that runs right down the middle of the glacier, full of boulders that weigh tons, dirt, gravel, scraped from a mountain. It's hard to describe and think about the fact that this is actively making the world. It's reshaping Southeast Alaska every single day. Just very, very slowly. And much like our tour, suddenly the glacier came to an end. We could see the meltwater making creeks and rivers through the rainforest. Suddenly, the blue gave way to nothing but grays and greens. It was almost shocking that that's it, it's over. And as we continued to fly over the rainforest, suddenly we were back over the water and we knew we were making our way back towards the Juneau airport. We left behind the snow, the ice, the gentle breeze that was flowing down the valley. Alaska truly gives an experience where you can experience a rainforest and mountains and glaciers and ocean estuaries all in one trip. The entire tour lasted about 2.5 hours. We spent about 20 or 30 minutes with our feet actually on the ice of the glacier. Seemed like just the right amount of time, which is odd considering we were standing there with something that had existed for millennia. As we slowly descended to the Juneau airport, it was hard to process what had just happened. I'd like to say I remember clearly the helicopter landing, us getting out, walking into the building. What I do know is the folks at Coastal Helicopter were wonderful. They made sure we picked up our things, they loaded us in the van, and got us back to Juneau. We booked this tour through AAA. It actually sent us to shoreexcursionsgroup.com, where we selected our cruise, found all the information we needed, and we were able to book. Now, this cruise is relatively expensive. We paid about $1,000 for the two of us, and because I do weigh in over 250 pounds, it was an additional $150 fee. As you can see with the pricing we just pulled up recently, the price looks like it has gone up about $200. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. It was truly a pleasure. Remember, you're always going to get where you're going as long as you keep moving. And thanks for watching our video. Click and subscribe.